The Secrets of TV is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com. You're listening to The Secrets of Television. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and we take a closer look at the stories behind the stories, exploring the themes, characters, and hidden meaning in the shows everyone's watching and the classics worth remembering. And this time we're discussing Monarch Season 2, Requiem. And joining me today on the panel are Jeff Haecker. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Dom.
And Patrick Mason. Hey, Patrick.
Howdy, Dom.
Folks, be sure to follow The Secrets of Television. We're in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or at the StarQuest YouTube channel, youtube.com/StarQuestMedia, where, as always, you should like, comment, subscribe, and do all the YouTubey things. So let's get right into it. I'll give you the recap, and then we'll discuss this episode. So here's what goes on. Hiroshi Randa's death, spoilers, sends shockwaves through the group at his funeral. Yeah. He dies?
They killed a main character? No.
No way. So Kate and Keiko mourn together while Kentaro seethes with anger. Lee Shaw watches the burial from a distance, lost in thought. A flashback shows Kentaro sketching Kong on Skull Island 2 weeks earlier. Kong senses Kentaro immediately and growls at him. Hiroshi later tells Kentaro he found a rift in Alaska that had dropped him into Africa a year later. So that's where he was when they were looking for him. 1950s flashbacks show Keiko and Bill settling into Monarch's Arlington, Virginia headquarters. Lee requested a transfer driven by his feelings for Keiko, and then gets drunk with his father the night before starting his important new job.
Like
and,
you do.
Well, it goes as well as you imagine. In 2017, Kate and Keiko decode the Titan X signal as a transmission full of fear and panic. And Lee and Zook, who showed up, Suzuki, go to test a rift device that nearly pulls Lee through, and his own radio crackles with a distress call from another version of himself.
Dun, dun, dun.
The end. Dun, dun, dun. So what'd you think of this one, Jeff?
Yeah, this one was another good one. It was very much after the big action, big loss, you have the, the mourning. So I think it was good that they took a beat to slow down and let things breathe, really give Hiroshi's death kind of the weight that it deserves. But you also see Hiroshi again, so it's almost like it takes the sting out of it a little bit when you see him in the past with Kentaro. And yeah, it really kind of sets up the rest of the season pretty well by kind of setting up these final arcs and the group is kind of all fractured at this point. Everybody's kind of, Kate and Keiko are doing their thing. Kentaro is doing his thing, and Shaw and Suzuki are doing their thing. So everyone's kind of separated. And May's out there somewhere, or there somewhere
kind of with Kentaro.
Kind of, yeah. So yeah, I thought it was good. It really, I think it gives weight to Hiroshi's death, but also kind of progresses the story forward. So yeah, I think it's a good one.
How about you, Patrick?
Generally, I like this episode. I never felt at any point that I was wishing that I was watching some other scene in the show or like catching up with other characters. I thought they moved through the paces. I liked that the various characters had different reactions to Kentaro's death. And Hiroshi's death. Oh my god! Yeah. The names, so many names.
So many names.
Yeah. So Hiroshi's death. I like that Kentaro got angry. That Kate was blaming herself. And Keiko is sort of just in shock, and so is his wife, who was there at least. Like I like that she got to be there.
She was at least there.
Yeah. I liked one
of his wives was.
Yeah, at least one of them. Yeah. Right. The other one moved on, remarried. Which that's a good question for Jimmy, I think.
Was that a valid marriage?
Which one? Yeah.
Which one was really his wife? Yeah.
I liked that we spent a lot of time in the past. We finally get an insight into what makes Shaw tick. And, honestly, we've gotten some of Keiko's triumvirate of Monarch background. We hadn't really gotten much in the way of either Bill Randa or Lee Shaw's, and now we're getting some of theirs. So I kind of expect that going forward. But it was good to see, that they played it through like father, like son. I thought that was a pretty good way of showing and not telling the reason Shaw is kind of the way he is.
Yep. Yeah. I like this one. This is the middle of the season, and it's the turning point. This is the death of Hiroshi was kind of the end of that first half, and now we've got the path laid out for the rest of the season, where they're kind of literally setting the stage of where each of these characters are going to go. Kentaro's arc is just beginning. We get Kate and Keiko doing their thing. Yeah, it's very interesting to see where this is going to go from here. I like that we get the funeral. It is I think that is a good moment to have. It's literally called Requiem. We need to stop and think about the cost of what they're doing and the sacrifices they're being made. And poor Kate. First, she's like, "Oh, I let a Titan loose on the world, and now I got my dad killed." And could she have more guilt piled on her? I mean, the poor thing. I feel bad for her. And Kentaro doesn't help. He blames her. I mean, he's not necessarily wrong. She kind of did, but he doesn't understand. She wasn't in control, and I think that's the heart of it.
It turns out she's a scarab.
Yes, right. Somehow she's connected. Yeah. So the flashback, I was sitting there wondering, like looking at Kong, a day in the life of King Kong. What does he eat? like a monkey that big, he's got to be consuming a lot of food. But nevertheless, we a little suspension of disbelief.
Giant crab monsters.
Right. He's a big seafood eater. There were no giant bananas on Skull Island.
Yeah, that's the interesting about Skull Island. And one of the many interesting things about Skull Island is there is a lot of mega animals,
megafauna,
but not a lot of megaflora. Right, the trees are still the same size as you'd find in any given rainforest. So are the plants, but the animals are all bigger, and that doesn't track. Like you kind of need the whole food chain to work in order to get the megafauna.
Yeah. Do they ever in any of the MonsterVerse stuff, any of the movies try to explain why they're so big? Why, like where the big? I don't think so.
No.
It'd be kind of an interesting.
I think. I don't know
if there's any.
Yeah, because in some of when they go to the Hollow Earth, I don't think the plants there are giant either. I think it's their normal size. So yeah, they don't really. I get, I guess one headcanon could be that it's just the weird energies of, all this stuff is affecting, is making the animals, making them big.
I mean, we had megafauna here on Earth. Like it's in our actual natural history. Like dinosaurs are huge. Like they are huge creatures, but there was megaflora. Like the plants were bigger.
Bigger and more. It is interesting how evolution tends towards smaller. Everything used to be bigger almost. Like sharks were bigger, turtles were bigger, like everything, crocodiles were bigger. Everything's getting smaller as time goes on.
Spiders. Fortunately, we moved the right way on that one.
Dodged a bullet on that. This is probably why we have like fear of these things, by the way, like our ancestral reptilian brain parts of our head, remember the giant spiders. So Kentaro is a great artist. Is he did we establish in the beginning that that's what he is as an artist?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first time we meet him, it's at a gallery, his own gallery. It's not his gallery, but it's a gallery opening featuring his works. And it's primarily faces.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So he's drawing Kong, who apparently didn't like it. It's kind of interesting. Like, I think I was trying to figure out like what were they, if they were trying to symbolically do something there, because, Kong sees him and he kind of steps out and he's like, "Hey, we're buddies." And Kong's like, "No, we're not." And he's like, "Oh, gotta go," and leaves. I kind of feel like that was kind of what they're saying in the script there. Like, no matter how much you think Kong or Godzilla or any of the kaiju are your friends, they are not. Yeah. They're still wild creatures who are much, much bigger than you are.
Yeah, unless you're a mute and can talk in sign language to Kong.
Right. The little girl. Yeah. Well, you have to be a cute little girl. Yeah. So I also was amused by the fence that he crawled under. Like, that'll stop the megafauna, but like, there's plenty of small things that crawl, like that could get through. I was thinking, you know,
you probably want a normal chain link fence on the other side of that.
I was thinking, you know, maybe, but no, they got the Jurassic Park fence going there. So this all takes place just before, like, I think the day before they get Kate back, Kate and May and Shaw. It's like the last day before they're going to do it. And they talk about how time passes differently in Axis Mundi, and they don't realize it yet, or no, Kintaro doesn't realize it yet, but Hiroshi knows, because this is where he drops the bomb. Oh yeah, I was in Axis Mundi for a day and a year, depending on your point of view. And it's kind of interesting. Like, why wouldn't you have said anything before? Like, why was he holding that back? I thought that was curious.
Yeah, I think probably because if he told Kintaro that, then, you know, it could get Kintaro's hopes up, because they don't know, you know, they don't know if an old Kate is going to come out, or if Kate's still alive, or really anything. So
right.
I think
Half
it's
of Kate.
Yeah. So I think it's just that he didn't want to, you know, give any hopes up, but it's the night before it's going to happen, so he's going to find out anyway. So I think at that point, well, he doesn't have anything to lose by telling him that.
It does reveal an interesting aspect, which is that, you know, in the past 2 years, you know, we talked about how last episode, Patrick, we talked about how Kintaro felt like he was the backup to Kate. He was the backup family. Mm-hmm. But for these past 2 years, he was no longer the backup. You know, it was him and Hiroshi together, working together. And I can imagine how that may have felt better, and in some ways maybe resents Kate return a little bit because of that, like being relegated back to the backup role.
Yeah. Well, and that's something he sort of expresses to Kintaro, is that the 2 years with him doing this was kind of like getting that year back.
Yeah. That was that one hitting all the feels. Yeah. That was a good moment. And you can imagine, like, so it was a time of like desperate, you know, at work, but it was also good in a way because they were together. I can imagine how that would be. So we get the funeral, a Japanese traditional funeral, which I thought was really cool. I thought it was a really interesting that they showed us that. And the one thing that struck me is Keiko was the primary mourner as his mother, even though Amiko was there, who is his wife. But Keiko was the primary. So I don't know if that's the usual thing in Japanese culture or not, but I thought that was interesting. And I was thinking, Keiko has experienced so much loss in such a very short time. Because for her, she only just lost Billy. And now she's lost her son. Yeah. I mean, it is. Whew, ouch.
Well, and, you know, it was an interesting thing, and they showcased it where, you know, Hiroshi's wife, when, you know, Kintaro storms off, she bows to Keiko, even though Keiko's turned, but she bows and then leaves. And that's showing deference for the elder, right? Which is, you know, I think where it comes where Keiko acts as the primary mourner because she's the elder in this situation. Even though physically she's younger than both her son and his wife.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I'm curious how much they told Amiko about this whole thing, because you're like, hey, dear, this is, or hey, Kintaro's saying, hey, mom, this is Hiroshi's mom, but you know,
this is grandma.
Your
mother-in-law.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, so I guess you have to believe that they told her some of what was going on, but yeah, it's still kind of funny to think about, like, that would, I mean, it would have taken away the drama of the moment, but that would have been a funny scene to have introduced them.
Really good genes. Wow. Really great for her age. Speaking of which, Dr. Suzuki shows up, Zook, who is astonished at how young not just Keiko is, but Lee, because even though Lee is, at the point in his 70s, right, I would think that's how old Kurt Russell is. I haven't looked it up, but probably early 70s at least. He, should be in his 90s. He should be have another 20 years on him. So he shows up and is astonished. And then Shaw makes a promise to set things right. Like he makes this vow. And this is a vow that's going to motivate him through the rest of the season, that he's going to fix this. And his fix is going to involve destroying the monster. Like he is kind of throwing out the old Monarch playbook of, defense through scientific discovery and understanding. Well, now it's like, he's like, that's no longer operative. That's no longer the way we should go. We need to destroy it, and we need to use Godzilla to destroy it. And that becomes his motivation here.
What I will say about that motivation, though, is it's the same motivation that Monarch used in the previous movie. So Godzilla King of Monsters, the whole, where they get to is we've got to make sure Godzilla is, we're even going to swim an atom bomb down to him where he's resting on the bottom of the ocean to repower him so he can go fight Ghidorah, right? So he can be King of the Monsters. And, I can't remember the name of the character in that movie, but he makes the comment that we would be Godzilla's pets, right? That's the, and
yeah,
we get later on, Kate, talks about they're not, wild dogs to be, sent against each other or whatever.
Sicked on each other. Yeah.
But really that is kind of what Monarch did. And it's in kind of their playbook going forward. We see it, Godzilla X Kong New Empire.
X-Kong.
Yeah, it's the same play. That's the exact same play as King of the Monsters. And so it is like, it's moving away from sort of Monarch as Keiko and Bill Randa envisioned it, but not as it is in 2017 as we're encountering it now.
Right. I mean, it's kind of the Apex playbook too, except Apex wanted much more direct control of it. This is a little more indirect control, but they wanted to use him as a Godzilla or whatever Titan they could get as weapons of mass destruction, and that's essentially what Lee wants to do, except he wants to just turn it on another Titan. It's that this is the essential conflict among the people. The viewpoint conflict, which is, are they monsters to destroy and use other monsters to destroy, or are they a part of nature that we should examine and know and cherish and keep as part of everything? So that's the essential conflict, and I don't think there's a solid answer on that, one way or the other.
Because I think if I'm remembering, it's been a while since I've watched the original Godzilla movie in this universe,
the Monarch universe,
Monarch universe. But I think Godzilla didn't emerge in the modern day until the Mutos showed up. So I think it's the idea that Godzilla doesn't attack humans directly. He fights other monsters. And I mean, I guess at this point, their track record, or like their only case study they have is the Mutos at this point that we know of in the timeline. That Godzilla has fought them, but by the time of, I think it's X Kong, there's like, there's a Titan over here, there's a Titan living over here, there's one chilling over there. And they just know about all these Titans. So, I think it's just that Godzilla will attack. He'll attack unfriendly Titans, and Godzilla doesn't generally go after humans for sport.
Right. Titans that threaten humans. For whatever reason, Godzilla, goes after Titans that, like, he doesn't go after Kong on Skull Island, and he never went after Titan X in the past when it was on its migratory route for whatever reason. But there's something, whatever, that makes Godzilla want to attack him when it gets too close to population centers or something.
Yeah, because he was worshipped by an ancient civilization in the was it King of the Monsters, where they go blow the atom bomb up to repower him under in the Hollow Earth or whatever. So yeah, he was part of this, or he was worshipped by the civilization, or was kind of part of it, or a focus of it. So Godzilla's had that relationship with humans, and I want to say it's not in X Kong, but it's in the one before that, where King Kong goes to Hollow Earth, and there's like implied that there were other Godzillas in there at one point or another. So I want that backstory on Godzilla. Like I want the story of him being worshipped by this ancient civilization and see what's going on there. But
because they're in the throne room where Kong goes.
Right.
There are all the scales. Yeah, the Godzilla scales, which is what he uses to make the axe.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I got to rewatch all this.
Yeah. But I mean, it is like, it's a really good, I think, and to me, it's one of the heart of, other than massively dysfunctional families and the legacy of that, you get the heart of the Monarch question is, how do you, because ultimately they're there to try and protect, the American, America, or, more than that, the world.
The world.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you do that when you have these like giant monsters? And I get like, okay, well, destroying them definitely didn't work, right? Atom bomb just seems to power up Godzilla. So what do you do? Apex went for the massive control solution. Monarch's gone for the soft touch control. Apex also goes after the build our own monster. And I'm not sure what the right answer would be if I was presented with that situation in reality, because, humans, we take nature and then we sort of do what we want with it to make it fit us. Right. And I feel like that inclination would be there even with the Titans, if such things existed. And then the question becomes, what do we do with that? And how do we play that out? Right. And I think there's a real desire to see Apex is bad and Monarch is good. But I think they're doing a really good job in the show of really muddying the waters as much as they can, because they are real muddy waters. Right.
The differences are by degree and by specific actions by specific people, but not necessarily. Monarch is not necessarily all good. The asset management stuff, is not necessarily all good. So yeah, I agree with that. It's essentially there are like a handful of different kinds of stories. There's man versus man, man versus self, man versus nature. And this is definitely a man versus nature story. And essentially in a man versus nature story, the answer is man can't control nature. Nature is too big. It's Twister. It's, earthquake movies. It's, you survive these things. You don't prevent them, stop them, control them. And that's essentially the answer here with when you're facing Titans, as you survive them. You maybe manage them a little bit. You tried to coexist with them, but you can't, in the end, you can't control them. You can't, they're literally forces of nature. So it's an interesting, it is, and in man's hubris in the 21st century, I think it's sort of that this addressing this idea that we are the masters of nature, the masters of our world, but we aren't. Once we start to think that, then it rears up and bites us in the butt again. That sort of thing.
Well, and that was, I think, one of the two gems we get out of, Colonel Shaw the first, or is
Daddy Colonel.
Dad, yeah. And he says it to his son, we've got it so good in America, we can think we can have it all, right? And he's saying that to his son in sort of a I'm watching out for you, and you're not going to get, you got to make sacrifices in order to get what you want, and that sort of stuff. But there is a notion there that plays out over the course of the show, which is that you can't, like, what you want is control, and you might have it good, but you're not going to get that. Like, you can't have it all.
Right. Yes. That was a really good scene. I like that, where, his dad says, this country tricks us, which is interesting, the phrasing. It tricks us into thinking we can have it all: happiness, success, and family. But honor comes with a price. And he's placing honor above everything else. It's very much like an honor culture that he's coming from. But this idea that, so honor comes with the price of family, like that. And I think in one sense, he's sort of apologizing to Lee for not being a great dad. You get the sense that they're not close, that there's this tension between them, right from when he first sees him. How long has it been? 4 years? 5, I think. It's like they don't even know how long it's been since they've seen each other. So there's that sense. So, I think that was a very good scene for understanding Shaw a little more. He's no longer the army officer that showed up with Keiko and Bill with that first time in Indonesia or wherever that was. I think he's changed a lot. He's not, and I think that's the thing he realizes after that breakfast with his father. Like, his father says, no, if you want to succeed and have a great career in this man's army, you need to have combat. You need to go to Vietnam, boy, and fight some guys, and that's how you're going to succeed. It's like, 1958, they did not know what was coming.
Yeah.
And so, like, he was quitting Monarch because it was awkward, right? And that was a great scene because it was so awkward between him and Keiko, and Bill sitting there kind of like, what's going on here? Like, you could kind of tell he's like, something's weird.
Here,
there's some weird energy in this room.
Yeah.
They're excessively polite to each other. And then he comes back because he realizes, this is what it's about for him. This is why he's doing this, is the mission that they've started together. So that was an interesting arc for Lee in this, where you learn a lot about why Lee is doing what he does. And then you see the 2017 Shaw, how far he's strayed from that now, like how far, like, that I believe in you, Keiko, and in your mission, and in the intervening decades, that has sort of changed in him. He's different motivation. I think it's an interesting differences.
Well, and G-Day happened in the decades too. So I think that's part of it. Is he thinks back to, because he was there when they tried to nuke Godzilla the first time, I think, on Bikini Atoll. And so he thinks back, and he's like, what could I have done to stop this? And I mean, the answer is nothing, because it's Godzilla. You really can't do anything. So, but it's interesting that he's strayed kind of from that Monarch, mindset of, let's study the Titan X. Let's not assume it's an evil thing. But he was also there in the 50s in the fish cult village where they got attacked, and he was there again. So, and I think now he's seen it killed, his nephew, who he considers his nephew. So now he's out for blood, I think, too, partially.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that, I think that the G-Day part of it really plays into, it's all fun and games until the monster destroys a city worth of people, right? Let's let's study these things and try and get a feel for what they are and how they are, and then one goes and destroys a major metropolitan area and kills a whole slew of people and sort of showcases the fact that your military is semi-worthless or completely worthless. And and then you got to ask yourself, we got to do something, right? There's an imperative there to keep that kind of thing from happening again. And it's interesting that it moves him into the place that his father was at, which is, it's us or them. Like there's no middle ground here.
All that matters is who wins.
Yeah.
We can't coexist. We win or they win. It's kind of the old Cold War mentality too, isn't it? Like it used to be, we can't live with the commies. Either we win or they win. There's no coexistence possible. And I think there's a bit of a analogy that they're making here with that sort of thinking. And I mean, let's face it, the Titans are a metaphor for nuclear weapons. I mean, they were from the beginning of Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla was essentially grew out of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This kind of thing. So and they're kind of continuing it, which I think they're doing a good job of it. Keiko, when she confronts Lee at Zook's house, she says they're living beings more ancient than us, and he says we're human beings just trying to survive, and that's the essential conflict. That's which is the way we want to go with this. Is it more important that these ancient beings survive, or do we save human lives? And there's no easy answer. But in that moment, she says to Shaw, "You're not the man I remember." And he says, "That's a good thing," which, man, that had all the layers of a 7-layer cake. That was, there were so many layers in that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he's not the missing man. So I want to, the dinner was interesting. At Zook's house, because there was this whole thing about the wine running out. And Shaw pours it down the sink. I remember when I first watched that, I was like, why is he dumping out the wine? It's a very weird thing. Oh, and it's empty. And Zook assumes that it's because Shaw is sober or something, doesn't want to drink. But Shaw's like, no, I just needed to get you away from them because I want to talk to you about if you have another Titan phone. But I thought it was confusing. Were you guys confused by that at all at first? Because I was a little like, is he trying to be sober or?
No, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, I think I read it just the way they intended it. That he just it was a way to get Zook alone away from Kate and Keiko so that he could ask him if he had another Suzuki device to be able to call a Titan. I did notice, I don't know if you guys noticed, at this point in the show, everybody was drinking. So in 1958, Lee and his dad were drinking. In 2017, Shaw and Keiko and Kate and Zook were drinking. And then May and Kentaro were out drinking. So everyone was out drinking at this point in the show. And we also saw Hiroshi and Kentaro drinking a beer.
Yes. Yeah. There's a sort of toasting of things going on here. So I thought that was kind of funny. So Kentaro and May go out to, they want to go back to their friend's whiskey bar, and it's turned into the a version of Applebee's or whatever TGI Fridays in Tokyo. That would be disappointing. And
yes,
he does the guy thing where he misinterprets kindness from a woman as romantic interest. Oh man, I felt it inside, dude. I felt it. that is like the worst moment. With the pullback, when she pulls back, I've been there, dude. But I ended up marrying her anyway. So I recovered. You can recover from that. But when she pulls back, he then insults her. I'm like, dude, like, what is wrong with you? He is just in a bad place. And that's the moment that Isabel Simmons approaches him. I didn't know who she was at this point when I watched this the first time. Did you guys catch that she was who she was, the daughter of Walter Simmons? from
No,
Apex?
I had forgotten the name completely when I watched this episode, so it went over my head. I think it took me another episode until they say the word Apex that I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
because it's been a while since I've watched that movie. The King of the Monsters, or no, it's versus Kong, Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, Godzilla versus Kong,
Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
So she approaches him and very ham-fistedly, and she's got a proposition for him. She's got she wants him to come with her to do a thing, and he says no. So clearly we'll see her again.
Yeah.
And then he has this interesting nightmare because we have to have, I think we're contractually obligated to see a Titan rampaging in every episode. I'm here for that. I'm not complaining. I think that's really great. But we get the classic.
It's way better than an elephant dwarf romance, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. Oh, I thought for a second you said elephant dwarf romance, and that was really weird.
That would still be better.
Do you have any brain soap that
I'm talking about?
I need to get that out of my head. But having Godzilla rampage through Tokyo was a nice throwback to classic Godzilla movies. Japanese people running through the streets and the whole thing.
Yeah, for a second, I was like, wait, is this a dream? Because for a second, I was like, I don't remember Tokyo being destroyed in the show, and then I was like, yeah, it's a dream. Okay,
exactly.
One more movie, baby. Actually, I thought it was a flash forward at first, because we see Godzilla, but then we see Titan X. I'm like, oh, okay, it's a dream or something else. But at first, I was like, oh. Okay, they haven't done this with time yet. They haven't done flash forward yet, but I'm cool. I'm here for that. Yeah.
I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, I thought he was walking home from the bar. I mean, that's what we're supposed to think. And I was very confused for a second. Like, why is Kate there? And it was, but, Godzilla is cool. Godzilla crunching things. So Keiko and Kate are at Zook's house, and they're doing the whole radio transmission thing. Did you notice how old all the equipment that Keiko's using is? Like, it's all this old fashioned tubes and dials and stuff. I thought it was really cool, because that's what she'd know, right? That's the equipment she'd be familiar with.
Analog,
and that's what
switches.
Suzuki had, probably.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't. Because I think, doesn't he say that they wouldn't let him deal with modern equipment? Like they kind of kept him from trying to use modern stuff to build a modern version of the Titan phone.
I mean, I get it. You don't want this guy accidentally calling Godzilla again, right? I mean, that would be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kate can hold her breath a long time. Yes. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did notice that.
She's really good at that.
It's because she's part scarab, as we said. No,
yeah, exactly. But Kate understands the Titan X's pain and fear is how they framed it. But she's created this some kind of psychic bond. Do you think I don't think they ever explain this. Maybe they do. Is it because she's the one who released it from Axis Mundi, or is there something else going on? What do you think?
Yeah. So we haven't gotten a clear answer. Because Keiko has this connection to
Right. That's true.
To Titan X, but it seems to be stronger in Kate. So yeah, I don't know if it's a function of them both going to Axis Mundi, or if there's something like in their past they were like they're descendants of some of the people from Hollow Earth or something.
That.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that's another idea. But it could just be that they were in Hollow Earth and got affected by radiation
except Keiko sensed it before she went. When she was in Santa Soledad. Right. She was getting all the vibes.
Yeah. That's why I kind of think it is probably more something about heritage. Mm-hmm. Whether it goes all the way back to Hollow or whatever.
Something.
Yeah, that's my bet.
I'm hoping we get some more of that in season 3. That'd be
still no announcement at this point.
I know, we need more, especially the way you ended the season. So we end with literally a cliffhanger. Actually, this one they were literally on the edge of a cliff. Zook and Lee open up a rift, and he ends up talking to himself through the walkie-talkie. That, by the way, that was the longest drive ever. Like, I don't know where they were driving, but like there was so many scenes in between, like when they kept going back to them driving up the mountain. I know they keep doing this thing where time, they're kind of jumping around in time, but I thought it was kind of funny. But that was a long drive. But he ends up talking to himself, and what does that mean? It's himself in the past stuck in Access Monday, and that will be what next episode will be.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on this episode, Jeff? Anything we didn't cover?
Let me see. I don't think anything. It was. Yeah, and one other note I had was the actress playing Isabel Simmons is Amber Midthunder, who is in the Prey Predator movie. So that's maybe where people notice her from.
Midthunder.
But
that's a cool name.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think anything else for me.
All right. How about you, Patrick? Anything else?
Not in particular. I do want to go back to the funeral scene and say how well both shot and choreographed is the wrong word, but the blocking was done for everybody. And how it was a fairly silent affair. Like you had the prayers of the sung prayers of the, I don't know what the correct term is, if it would be priest or
Shinto priest, I think.
Yeah, priest, yeah. So, and I think that was the best way to do that. I think they did just a fantastic job with that set piece. And it really does do a good job at taking us through the fact that we've lost a major character, right? You spend time on, there's so many shows out there where you lose a major character and then you've moved on to the next beat, within a couple for shots or one, there'll be one scene and then maybe you'll deal with, some of the protagonist's feelings about that later in the season or whatever. But I kind of like the fact that we stopped and sort of dealt with it in the moment.
Oh yeah, you're right. I like that. That is good. I kind of think of compare this to the episode of Daredevil where after what's her name died, Kingpin's wife.
Oh yeah,
Vanessa.
Vanessa is after like so they had a. In fact, I think that episode was called Requiem.
Yes.
I think
yeah,
which is kind
also
of an interesting.
Requiem.
Yeah, parallel. Both episodes are called Requiem.
Funeral scene shot with just the songs of the choir.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah. I don't think that I am in fact confident there was no intention for them to be like that, but both shows did a similar thing, and it's interesting how the difference is. And that was a Catholic funeral mass. This was a Buddhist funeral. But I liked seeing it. I liked them showing it. It was probably very foreign to much of the audience, much of the American audience. And I think it was well done and respectful. And I was glad to see it. It recognizes the essential need for human mourning and grief.
Yeah.
And that, prayers in those moments, it's important that we stop and pray.
The other thing I want to point out is that quite literally the only people there are family. And Zook shows up late. So which means that he lived a very secluded life, right? Either that or all of his friends went before him, which is given his age, maybe, but not terribly likely. So
probably not. Yeah, it
sort of showcases the fact that like he was not only was he living in two worlds, he was not really living in the world. He was, he's got two wives and two families, but he's married to his work.
But he's very alone. Yeah. And Tim, two families and still alone.
Yeah. And Tim didn't even
Monarch
show up. Yeah. Not even Tim.
Not even Tim.
Yeah.
No other coworkers.
This was, it's not like they buried him the next day. They had to fly from Santa Soledad to Tokyo. This was There was some time here.
As we've established, time has no meaning, and they can get to across the world. And
Yes, that's true. We just hop on a Hollow Earth subway and we're somewhere else. This is true. All right. Excellent. Well, I think we'll end it there until next time. We'd like to, before then we sign off, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of television, including Father Eric F., Rachel S., Mark F., Chuck C., and Sandra S. Their generous donations at GiveStarQuest.com make it possible for us to continue the secrets of television and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting GiveStarQuest.com. So that's it from us this time. We'd love to know what you think of Monarch Season 2 Requiem. You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/TV, or send an email to tv@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. And until next time, Patrick Mason, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of television.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me on.
And Jeff Haecker, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Television on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Middle-earth. Find it wherever you can find podcasts or at sqpn.com/Middle-earth.